Today we'll be showing you how to install our Toyota Aygo, Citroën C1, Peugeot 107 supercharger system. We've already put the parts here, removed the front bumper, and we're going to guide you through the installation. We'll show you how to install the supercharger. Some things we won't include, like how to remove the front bumper. Honestly, if you don't know how to remove the front bumper, please hire a professional. As you can see over here, we already put the supercharger in. The supercharger has the air filter on it, pulley installed, and the pressure part, discharge pipe for the boost, and also the back part of the bracket, belt, front part of the supercharger bracket, intake pipe from supercharger to the throttle valve, second part of the intake pipe, and some hoses, bolts, and everything to get it installed. First off to do is, depends on which version you have. This supercharger system is developed for cars with air conditioning. So if you don't have the air conditioning, it's no problem. You can just go to the scrapyard, get an air conditioning pump with bracket, install it, and just use that one as an idle pulley. You don't have to fill the system, you don't have to do anything with it unless you want air conditioning. Just having installed the pump installed is everything you need. If you have air conditioning, it also means that you have the cooler in front of the radiator. If you have that one in front of the radiator, you will have to start with pushing the radiator a bit back. We include some very simple brackets that we're going to install, and then we may have the room to get the air filter in it. So, to remove the front bumper, we need to lower the bottom frame, so the radiator gets removed from the bottom mounting points. These plates are also included in the kit, so no need to make them yourself, but possibly you don't need them when you don't have the air conditioning.
Next step will be mounting the full plate. supercharger. That will be mounted on the 2 bolts that keep the air compressor for the air conditioning tightened to the block. So we should remove the front 2 bolts holding that in place. Obviously it fully goes to the front. Just slide it in between. Take back the 2 bolts we just took out. It'll just slide back into place. You might need to lift up the compressor a little bit to get it back into the bolt holes. Don't fully tighten them yet because they will need some adjustment once the charger is in place. Next step will be to install the second bracket. In order to put the second bracket in, you'll also need to remove the O2 sensor. There's a connector down here that just unplugs, so you take it out of the cable guide. Just unscrew it from the exhaust pipe. Put that aside. The charger plate will mount onto the bolt holes where originally the blanking plate for your flywheel was mounted. The bolts will come supplied in the kit as well. For this step, it might be convenient to get somebody to help you for a moment, because you'll have to fit it through the bracket here. So the best thing to do is lower the bracket, detach it, slide it through, and then mount it up. So we'll do that now. Having a second person for this job makes it a lot easier. So to hold the front of the supercharger up. Create some clearance. Tighten all those bolts up. Can be a smart step for this one to use some Loctite on the bolts. Next step would be to mount the front part, attach the front bracket to the supercharger. For that there's special spacers supplied. Spacers go in between the bracket and the supercharger. So next we'll put the O2 stanza back in place. There's a nice cutout in the mounting bracket. Just screw it in. Put the cable back through the mount. Fit it back into the plug. So once the supercharger is in place, it's okay to mount these back up. You want the bolts for the front bracket. Now your mechanical part is done and it's time to put on the belt. In order to create some slack so we can put on the belt, you have to loosen the top and bottom bolts for the alternator. Loosen this bolt, which is the tensioner. Just to make it easy for yourself. Give as much slack as you can. try to install will be this piece. And the second part of the boost pipe will be installed. So I'll just go over the original throttle body. So like such, and connect. Again, make sure to tighten all the hose clamps. Vacuum leads.
As you can see, there are two blow-off valves installed. One big one, one smaller one. The big one is used for all the pressure peaks, all the moments you don't need to boost. And when you don't need to boost, it opens up and you don't have anything left in the system. Saves the charger, reduces drag, easier for the engine. So this one is there for. The other one is used as a wastegate. So on a turbo system, use a wastegate to regulate your boost pressure. In this case, we use a blow-off valve for regulating the boost pressure with the charge system. The supercharger pulley is a smaller one, and if you don't regulate it, it's running around 0.8 bar, so 11 psi of boost. If we would put that much boost on a stock engine, it will blow up. But we know some of you would like to go further, so to be able to lower compression and perhaps install different pistons, then you are already prepared to do so. The blow-off valve can easily be tuned. Just remove the cap. It will also include some extra springs. You can change the spring, even remove a bit from a spring, and that way you can regulate the boost for your system. If you're running a stock engine, we would advise putting the boost pressure at maybe 0.3, 0.4 bars, so that's 4, 5, maybe 6 psi. You don't go over that because the more boost you make, the more risk of blowing up your engine, and the more important it becomes to get it tuned properly. There are several ways to get your car tuned. In this case, we've used a piggyback system. You can also use the original engine management. These can be reprogrammed, or you can install a complete standalone ECU management. In this case, we've chosen the piggyback. It's a cheap solution, and it gives the possibility to tune it yourself. It's easier to tune yourself than the original engine management. It's also possible to order this with your kit. When we do it, it's the ECU, the connector, some wires, some resistors. Just the basic parts you need to get it installed. There's also a wiring diagram and a startup file. Doesn't matter what you do, always get it tuned properly. The startup file is just to get the car running, so you have some basic information on it, but for every case, every car, a custom tune is what we advise to do. So now we're ready to start it.